Hi everyone, I'm out by the coast again. A place called Kalacharco. We've got 16th century watchtower on a cliff that way, and I'm standing right by another cliff this way. There's a lot of rocks down here, so I'm hoping there's no danger of rock falls. I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you do and you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe before you go. What I've got is this a nice piece of sort of, I don't know if you can see it down here, rocky area sticking out here. That's a nice lead in, and we've got rocks out in the distance leading off to the cliff with the tower, and quite a nice sky, but the light is very harsh at the minute. Got another photographer turned up here. It's quite unusual for me to come across another photographer while I'm out and about. We've been having a chat as best we can in my rather bad Spanish, and he speaks a bit of English, so I think we're just going to wait and see what happens with the clouds and the light. There's really not a lot in the way of different compositions here. You're really looking at photographing the tower from here. So I'm shooting a vertical orientation because that's the best way, I think, to build in the quite nice foreground and avoid a lot of distracting elements. So the sun's really bright at the minute. I've got a 3-stop hard-edged ND grad in to try and bring that sky back a little bit. Might take that out when we get closer to sunset, I don't know. And at the moment I've also got a 6-stop ND filter in just to try and slow that exposure time down. Otherwise, pointing into the sun like this, I'm getting sort of, 1/100th of a second, and I want quite a bit less than that. I think I've been able to get around about half a second and a second on a couple of shots as I've been playing around, but what it will be like later, we'll have to see. It's incredibly rare for me to come across another photographer when I'm out and about in these sort of locations. Having had one turn up earlier, I've now got 2 more. Positively crowded. Well, the sky's quite nice and dramatic over that way. Not much in the way of colour. I've been playing around with different exposure times, different filter combinations. I tried stacking a 3-stop and a 2-stop on the sky, and taking out the 6-stop ND filter on the to get a slightly shorter exposure. But I think longer is working a bit better. The waves are kind of okay, but nothing special. So at the moment I've got f11 1 second at ISO 200 with a 3-stop hard-edged ND grad and a 6-stop ND filter in. Sun's gone completely behind the cloud now. It does look there's some quite nice texture in the bottom of that cloud, so you never know, we might get something decent, we might not. Well, times are moving on. I've been concentrating on the foreground for the time being because the light on the foreground is coming and going and the waves are coming in, so I've just kept focused on the foreground, which is also the hardest thing to focus on with the filters on. I have to keep taking the filters off to make sure I'm getting the foreground in focus. And in a few minutes the sun's going to be kind of disappearing, and that's when we might get some bottom lighting on that cloud out there. We'll have to see. It's getting a bit chilly now on my head. We've got a little bit of colour out that way, quite nice actually. I'm going to hang in tight. There's a little bit of colour over the top of the tower and some texture. It's not quite sunset yet, so I'm going to give it till the sun's dropped down, see if we get some bottom lighting. Worth a try. I've actually taken the 6-stop ND filter out now because this scene, this shot is going to be for the sky and the tower, not for the foreground, not for the sea, so I'm not too worried about the exposure time on it. So there's a bit of a glow along the horizon there. I can actually see some lights coming on in the Campeo, I would imagine. I can just see a little bit of tones in the sky over the top of the tower, in the textures. It's a couple of minutes after, yeah, it's about 2 minutes after official sunset now. Worth hanging on, see if that bottom light comes up and picks out those shapes in the clouds. Okay, we've got a nice bit of fiery sky immediately over the top of the tower. That should look quite nice. It's a shame it's a bit further up. If it was going up higher in the sky, it'd be even better. But I'm hoping that's going to give us that sky interest we need to go with a nice foreground. Little bit of colour there, not very much, not for very long, but it might have added just that little bit of interest that we needed to make the image work. Because I was focus stacking this anyway, what I'm going to use is the nicest of the ones focused on the foreground, and then the nicest of the ones on the sky, and that'll be my focus stack, and I guess it's a time blend as well. I hope it's come out okay. You'll already have seen it. It's a one image photo shoot today. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the trip out, and if you have, well, please give it a like, share it on social media, don't forget about leaving me a comment, and if you have enjoyed this, please consider hitting subscribe before you go. That's it for now. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, so thank you very much, and until the next video, bye.